Can you tell me a little bit about Kenyairra, about your daughter?
This is my third daughter out of 5 girls. Kenyairra was very mild as a child. She didn't complain. Um, she went to school every day. She did her chores on time. Um, she was very cooperative as a kid. She played sports. She mentored after she got further in high school. She mentored a lot of her classmates, helping them with jobs and applications, and that kind of thing. Well-mannered, very well-mannered. Never raises her voice. um, just an easy child. She was easy. She was one of the easy ones. She was really easy.
A 21-year-old man has died from his injuries after what police are calling a targeted shooting in a downtown parking ramp after Freak Fest early Sunday morning. Police Chief Mike Koval says it happened around bar time in the State Street campus parking ramp just off University Avenue. There is still no suspect.
She just made adulthood, and boom. This is what we've been going through for a few years. Before that, she was worked steady all the time. She enjoyed hanging out with some of her friends, traveling. Her dad lives in another state, grandmother and great-grandma. She was awesome as an adult, and then this took place, So it was just a short time frame for her to, be able to enjoy after graduating and being an adult. Yeah.
I like music. I like playing basketball. I enjoy, hanging, playing a game sometimes. Or sometimes just sitting there thinking about what I need to do, like future goals and stuff like that. Other than that, I just be chilling. Like, I'm real cool. My thoughts before catching my case was to basically succeed in life, chase my dreams, which was being an artist. Also, I wanted to be an attorney, so I knew eventually I wanted to go back to school to be a criminal defense lawyer. So basically, I was just thinking about my future goals and what I need to do. That's when I started performing. I had a plan like ABC, basketball, music, attorney. So, I was just bouncing around until I got to where I was going, until I got interrupted by this case. So that's basically what I was thinking about, being able to help my family.
Over a period of years, Kenyairra and her family had been having different types of negative interactions with this man that lives in Madison. It wasn't an intimate partner or anything like that. It was just someone who I think lived in the same neighborhood. They knew each other, and for whatever reason, he had an issue with her, had an issue with her family, and started antagonizing her over a period of years. I know that at some point before the incident that led up to Kenyairra being put in jail and charged, he had threatened her multiple times, and he had actually physically shot a gun at her at one point as well. And so fast forward a couple of years, through all these different incidents that had been happening between him and her. It was the night of Halloween in 2018. Kenyairra and some friends were hanging out, and they decided to go downtown to have a drink before bar time. It was getting late, so they wanted to just hurry up and go have a drink or two. So they got downtown and they parked in a parking garage. When they left the parking garage to walk to the bar, they crossed paths with this man and a group of his friends, and then they started following them. They ended up following them into the parking garage where the car was parked. Once they got close to their vehicle, the man and at least one other friend started attacking the group of friends that Kenyairra was with. Started punching them. They were both attacking him at that point. They were also really close to getting to Kenyairra, and she was afraid. And I think in like just a moment of impulse, she reached for a gun that was in the car. She shot one shot. It ended up hitting one of the men that was attacking, assaulting them, and everything stopped. Everyone stopped at that moment. And Kenyairra turned herself in, I believe it was the next day. So yeah, that is what led up to Kenyairra's arrest in 2018, where she was kept in jail up until 2020. That was the year of the uprisings. Yep. And so that's when during the uprisings, there was an influx of donations coming into bail funds, I think nationwide, which gave us the opportunity to look at people who had much higher bails than we usually were able to look at. And so that's when we came across Kenyairra and started looking into her case and decided to bail her out and support her.
As a community, we can uplift survivors of violence by first hearing them, believing them, supporting them in recovery. We can also uplift survivors by looking towards their protection, surrounding them with grace and love, making sure that they have the resources that they need to heal and survive and thrive and move forward from any violence that they may have faced. We can also proactively, again, with investments into our community, talk about how we can put systems and ways into place where they would never have to have suffered that violence in the first place. That's the important part. And that's another part of the abolitionist piece, is that we would be building things into place where we are feeding folks so that they don't have to suffer the violence, or there are other means in place for them to have care, mental care, health care, child care, all the things that you need to survive. We need to make sure are in place for everyone, but in particular our queer, trans, intersex folks and survivors of violence and abuse.
We as a community can better support survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault, specifically like Black, queer, trans, and intersex folks, by, I feel like, first, like dismantling the narrative that Black women, queer folks, queer, trans, and intersex folks are automatically deviant or the criminal. I think that while rationally and logically, like, we understand that, I think that there's a lot of like implicit bias and prejudice that goes into the decision making when cases like this happen. And it's really unfortunate to think about that if Kenyairra was of a different demographic, like the entire trajectory of her sentencing in this case so far would probably have gone in a different way. And I think, like, in addition to like a cultural paradigm or shift, like, we need to advocate for more nuance within like our legal systems, because, like, I mean, one is within our constitutional rights, but also just like on a moral ground, that we should be able to act in our self-defense. And, especially as like women and queer folks, I think like there should be added empathy for when folks in that demographic react to the situations of like violence. Which I don't think has been extended to Kenyairra. And also, people don't belong in prisons. So that's why I think that we're still supporting her.
I don't think the argument is that we just need to get rid of police and do nothing and then everything will be fine. I think something that people need to really start thinking about and looking into is how much resource we put into the police. And because so many of our city and state budgets go toward policing, there is so little left to go into other areas that our community needs, right? And it doesn't matter where in the world you are, in what state, what city, what county, anytime you have people that are facing poverty. People's needs are not being met. There are no jobs, there are no housing, people don't have decent pay, people have lack of access to food. All of these basic needs are not met. That leads to an increase of violence because people are like struggling and fighting to survive in whichever way they can. To other survivors out there who are watching your case, what do you want them to know about your experience?
Basically, through it all, is to stay strong, you know, keep your head up, keep your feet down, and to never give up. Always keep your faith, and you'll get to where you want to go, and God will show you where He needs you to be.
With pure honesty, that's gotta feel good, you know what I'm saying? When
Yeah,
you're bringing honesty.
The
to
truth shall
table.
set you free.
Yeah.